Hey, you fucking assholes. I'm making this video without without the idea. Okay, let me say this. I don't want to edit anymore. I don't want to edit videos. I don't want to be uh making I don't want to be making things that suck ass. I don't want to make things that are 3 minutes long. But I also don't want to make things that look like some deranged psycho wannabe preacher made in their car at 3 a.m., you know? Have you seen that guy, fucking Kyle Foley or whatever? Like, he's got like a t shirt on and his face is bleeding and he's like talking about Jesus and killing people or something. And he's like in his car or at a gas station making a TikTok. That's how I feel right now. I suspect that may be what I look like, but I just feel the need to do it the same way I feel the need to draw a picture sometimes. I have a fucking pretty awful day job. If you don't know anything about me, I draw and I paint pictures and stuff like that. If you're here, you must know a little bit about me. Otherwise, what the fuck is going on here? I don't know. I know that I look crazy right now. Let me just say that. I feel like a certain insecurity. I feel a certain sense of stupidity and just general idiocy and wannabiness, and pressing record and talking into a little microphone. But yet I still feel this burning desire to do it. I still feel this burning, deathly desire. Like, if I don't turn on a thing and talk into it so that like 3 to 5 people watch it and listen to me, then I'm gonna die. Like, I'm gonna die in a fucking fire in a hole. Like, somebody's gonna find me in the forest while I'm trying to go on a hike and they're gonna club me over the head with like a radio speaker from the 80s and it's gonna damage the back of my skull and I'm gonna get thrown into a ditch and lit on fire. That's what I feel like. God damn it, man. It's graduation season here in Massachusetts, everywhere in the United States, really, probably in the world too, where all of the high schoolers and all of the college students are all completing their studies and moving on to new things. It's really interesting to consider that, this idea of graduation season, because I was a bad student. I was a very bad Jesus. This video is so scary. The video audio visual here looks like it was made by a serial killer, and that sucks. That's really embarrassing. I wish I could have done this in like a real studio setting with some lights or potentially during the daytime. But I'm a fucking crazy person, and I just worked all day. And the whole day that I was working, I was thinking I'm gonna stop working and take like an hour off, and I'm gonna just make a video. I'm gonna film something for like an hour straight, and it's gonna be awesome. That's what I've been wanting to do all day. But the motherfucking sun went down. The motherfucking sun went down. The lights turned off. The sky went from blue to dark blue. It's been overcasting all day. Apparently, there's some big forest fire. I don't know anything about it. There's a forest fire in the Pacific Northwest, or probably California, that's sending giant clouds of smoke over the continental United States, probably southern Canada as well. And it created this overcast over the sky today, but the sun was out. It was just some type of smog just in the fucking atmosphere that kind of blanketed the sun and caused it to look like a blood moon, like it you looked at it and your eyes hurt because you were looking at the sun, but it wasn't bright like the sun. This is riveting stuff, my guy, my dude, my friend here. It's hard. You gotta bear with me. You gotta bear with me because I'm doing this as a bit of an experiment. All right, let me get meta with you for a second. If you know anything about me, then you know that I am a wannabe media person. I'm always trying to make this, make that, trick people into watching this, make this content, make this podcast. That's me. That's been me for like 10 years. You can feel bad for me. You can think I'm delusional. You can think of me as like a wannabe rapper from your hometown. That's how I feel right now. But that's where I'm at. I have a podcast and I put shit on TikTok. What else is new? It's 2023. But to get meta with you for a second, here something that I truly have never tried. Something that I truly have never tried, and it seems like the most obvious stupid thing that you should try if you want to make meaningful, real, good content in this world and or on YouTube in video talking format. And that's you have to make it long as fuck, bro. Like nobody's watched 2, 3, 4 minute like vlog ass videos since like 20 fucking 14 or 15. Like that was really hot in like the very old antique olden days of YouTube. I'm not talking like Zay Frank Lonely Girl ancient YouTube. I'm talking like post Smosh, Tyler Oakley, Hannah Hart, John Green YouTube. Those people ruled the 3 to 7 minute content universe. If you remember, like there's even some artistic ones that I remember very fondly that inspired me a lot at the time. Their name was Christian Novelli. I think it was like Touch the Sky Films or something originally, but they were this person that was doing the emo, LOL random kind of thing. Before, like probably one of the main propagators of LOL random. Before, anyway, whatever I'm saying, but it was just very funny, whimsical, musical kind of content that later transitioned into this very odd short film vignette artistic stuff that was like very reminiscent of 2015 lo-fi Bandcamp music. And I loved that shit, man. That inspired the fuck out of me back in 20 back in good old 2015, the year of our Lord. I think the year of our Lord actually refers to the present day. I think that's what that means. You can't say the year of our Lord to refer to something retroactively. If you're a listener of my podcast, Boston Art Podcast, then you must know that uh, it's a show hosted by me and my partner Theo, where we usually drive around for an hour or two talking about life, being funny, arguing, being stupid, talking about art, interviewing artists. It's a very, very, very fun and exciting show. It's one of the best podcasts that have ever been recorded. And as you can tell, that's not what's happening right now. Theo is not in the car with me. I'm alone. I'm alone in a pit of mad sadness, psychopathy, delusionality, sodomite, degenerate idiocy. I'm here, a damn fool. Theo is not with me. We're not recording. If I went and picked her up, we could record right now, but I didn't. I just got off work and started making this stupid ass video. I'm really convinced, though. I'm really convinced that if I really fucking power through this crazy person serial killer car video, like if I can make this 50 minutes, 60 minutes, if I could talk to myself, out loud into the fucking air like an embarrassed idiot for that long with no awkward, painful pauses for maybe just shy of an hour, 50 minutes, 60 minutes, I don't know. If I can do that, I feel like that would be seriously, really profoundly proving something to myself. Proving what? I am not sure. But I am an idiot, and I believe things. And I'm pretty sure in my scratch ticket mentality about this. I'm just sure that if I can make content where it's just me talking and it goes out 1 to 2 times a week from now until the end of time, then I will be able to build a real audience and garner real viewership for that content. And you might ask, why the fuck would you want to do that? What are you, some kind of dumbass, narcissistic bitch, motherfucking idiot, fuckhead? And I might say, yeah, no, maybe, I don't know. Maybe I'm just craving attention. Maybe I want to be a cult leader. Maybe I am just some fucking idiot that is drawing attention to myself, not making any money, but just like kind of ruining my real social life by doing this. There was a time where I like really delusionally made content and made art, and I like, it's kind of funny because I really believed that I was going to make it as an artist. As far as I was concerned during this chapter, this was years and years ago. As far as I was concerned, because I believed so wholeheartedly that I was going to make it, I believed that I had already made it. Like it was just like, it was almost as if I delusionally believed that I would have $1 million in a couple years, which meant that I could start borrowing money from people because I believed that I would have millions of dollars. Like that was kind of my mindset with making art and stuff. I could also supply a lot of context for the time. I'm massively chronically ill, and I was going through a severe chronic illness flare up that gave me a lot of negative mental health symptoms, and I acted out in a lot of wacky and whimsical ways, like delusionally thinking that because I may be very successful in the future, that means that I already am or something. So what I did back in 2015 is I just alienated everybody I knew. I'm getting vulnerable right now. And when you get vulnerable, it's actually kind of safer to be vulnerable on camera, because if you're vulnerable on camera, you can delete it. So you kind of tell yourself in the back of your head, oh, it doesn't matter if you're vulnerable because you can just delete it. So you kind of preemptively decide that it's already deleted. It's like you're filming something that doesn't exist because you've already decided you don't want it to exist. I'm so fucked, man. But listen, you gotta stay with me, my friends. If there's even one person listening, you gotta understand my goal here. My goal isn't to make sense. My goal isn't to make a psychotic thing that will potentially embarrass me in the future. My goal isn't to be an idiot or necessarily to be funny. It's to talk. It's to just make some shit and chit chat it up by myself on a camera for just about an hour. Just about an hour. That's all I'm asking, just an hour. And let me say this would be a lot easier if I had prepared topics, if I wasn't driving, if I wasn't filming myself at the wheel. And before you have a thought about that, I'm buckled up and safe and doing fine. So there's that. But furthermore, I don't know. I don't know what to say. It's about 15 minutes in, and I'll admit it, I'm losing steam. Anyway, I was talking about graduation season earlier. And to mention 2015 in relation to graduation season, that was about a year after I graduated high school. So I was about 19. And, in terms of vulnerability, I was acting like a complete fucking moron. You know what I mean? I had a best friend that we were best friends, but we were really more so just codependent psychopaths. Like, we stayed up till 4 or 5 in the morning every night, and then slept till like 3 p.m. the next day. And once we woke up at 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon, no jobs, no prospects, nothing good in the world. And then we would like call up all our friends and be like, "Yo, what are we doing?" And then we'd all meet up as the sun went down, smoke cigarettes, drive around, be stupid. They'd all get drunk and smoke weed, and I would watch because that's funny. And I'm sober, so I didn't get drunk and smoke weed, but I would watch them do it and be like, "Ha ha ha! This is so cool! I'm tagging along." And that was every day for me for like a year. I was in college. I was in community college studying for my fine art degree. Obviously, that didn't happen because I was staying up all night, every night, sleeping all day, every day, and hanging out with my friends who were, they were nice people, but, by all accounts, they were just as toxic and ambitionless as me. And they're good people now. This was many years ago. But at the time, we were all properly a bunch of idiot, fucked up bums. Sorry, I'm feeling a little bit nauseous. Ugh. Yeah, it was an embarrassing time. It was pretty dark, and if you want to hear a real idiotic story about this time, I so what's interesting too is that I didn't really consider myself an artist during this period. I considered myself a poet, if you can believe that. I wasn't focusing on music very much, and I wasn't focusing on painting and sculpting like I do now. I was focusing on chapbooks and written word and literary exercises of this and that and whatever. And it was a dark, dark time. It was a dark time because, it was 2015. It was very, very well past the early 2000s alt lit movement. You had writers like Tao Lin, fucking, I don't know, bloggers, beach sloth, motherfuckers, weirdo, alt lit, image macros. If you don't know what I'm talking about, that's a good thing. But for the people that do know what I'm talking about, you're going, yeah, that was a weird, bad time on the internet. It was a very toxic, bizarre micro niche of people that celebrated writing avant garde meme poetry that was about self destruction and living a terrible life and meaningless sex and, writing on your laptop in a cafe and doing Adderall and having sex and like that was the mood of that air quotes literary movement. And I was fascinated by these people as obviously because I was 19 and basically brain dead because I was so fucking stupid. And you can't blame anything on chronic illness, I guess, but I was chronically ill. And to give you some more context, I have something called Graves' disease, or I did for many years. I was first diagnosed with it in 2012. That really sucked. I had a lot of really fucking awful symptoms, one of which was thyroid eye disease, which is actually a symptom but is also its own separate disease. I can talk more about that later. On top of that, okay, so what thyroid eye disease is it's when your eye, there's tissue that grows behind your eyes and it pushes your eyelids slightly out of the socket. So a lot of people who have it very badly can't blink fully. They can't blink very well, and when they sleep, maybe their eyes aren't closing completely. It's very problematic. It hurts to have it. Your eyes are constantly irritated. You can't even have a fan on, or the wind like fucks with your eyes, and you get itchiness, whatever. So, and in the long, and if you have a very very bad case of it, and you don't get treatment for it, of which there is very little, you can end up with some damage to your vision, which is very 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 scary for anybody. So I was dealing with that. Also, side note, when you smoke cigarettes, it greatly greatly increases the damage thyroid eye disease does to your eyes and it also greatly increases the symptoms and effects of Graves' disease, and it makes your treatments go a lot slower, and it makes things harder for you, and the time travel a little bit. I mentioned that I've had this disease since 2012. I ended up getting my first surgery on my neck. I have a scar right here from a thyroidectomy. You probably can't see it very well because I'm filming a psychopath murder video on my front camera of my phone. But yeah, so I got that surgery and the thyroidectomy. As you could probably tell from the name, it's when they remove your thyroid. They take your thyroid, which is a gland in your neck, out. And then after that, you have to take a medicine called levothyroxine, which is a generic of the name brand Synthroid, which is a thyroid hormone. It's a synthetic thyroid hormone that you take in lieu of your uh, vivisection style removal of your thyroid. Yeah, so that was really fucking scary to get that. That took care of my symptoms for a long time. I was all better for a number of years, but I mentioned the smoking. You know, I was smoking many, many cigarettes, about a pack a day, for a long time. I think during this particular era of 2015, I wasn't smoking your traditional cigarettes. I was smoking something called Tops tobacco or Bugler tobacco, which is where you buy a bag of tobacco. It's like in a pack of rolling papers. It's like basically like buying an ounce of tobacco, and it comes with a little pack of things, and you just twist them up and smoke them non-filtered. And so that's what I did. I did that, and it was horrible. I was smoking a bag of that tobacco a day, which is fucking, which is gnarly. If there's anybody listening that has smoked rollies in the past, you'll know that what I was up to some dark deeds, some dark tobacco dealings. It was painful. It was gross. It was bad. Whatever. But by 2014, oh no, not 2014. By 2015, I had experienced something that I never knew possible, something so unusual and weird and annoying, but it happened nonetheless. My thyroid, as I mentioned, it had been cut out. My thyroid completely grew back. It grew back inside of my neck, and the puffiness of the front of my neck returned. As I mentioned, I was taking Synthroid, synthetic thyroid hormone, which made my thyroid hormones go through the fucking roof, bro. So imagine that. Like, it's like imagine if you fucking, I don't know, man. Like, I'm trying to think of like a comparison in your body that would make sense. Okay, imagine this. Imagine if you had high blood pressure and your doctor gave you a treatment that removed your blood pressure. No more blood pressure. Now you have to take a medicine that makes your blood pressure normal because you have no blood pressure. Secretly, unbeknownst to your doctor and you, your blood pressure returns to normal or to its high amount that it was before your treatment. You take medicine, continue to take the medicine as is prescribed, on top of the fact that your irregular high blood pressure is returned, and voila, you have quadruple dog shit fuckery mega high blood pressure. That was me, but with my thyroid. And let me tell you, man, my symptoms came back tenfold. I had, coincidentally, unrelated to my metaphor, high blood pressure through the up the wazoo, as they say. My heart rate was through the roof every day. It's constantly overheating. You couldn't turn a heater on. You couldn't turn the heat on in the car with me in it because it would irritate my skin so much. My eyes, I looked like a motherfucking owl, bro. My eyes were popping out of my head all the time. My bowel movements were awful and painful and everything. Like, it's like I can't. it's like there's just so much details, that are just so foul and awful, and I was just fucked, but during this time I mentioned in 2015, when my thyroid had grown back full force, fully, completely there while I'm taking this medication, I was fucking insane. If you know anybody with a thyroid problem, or you for some reason know a thing or two about endocrine health, you will know that when your endocrine system, your thyroid is fucked up, that means your hormones are completely fucked up. And if your hormones are completely fucked up, that means your mind is completely fucked up. So I was motherfucking mentally ill, bro. Like, I was not right in the head. I was not being cool. I was staying up all night. I was freaking the fuck out on people. Like, I had a hair trigger response to things on a regular basis. Somebody kind of like rubbed me the wrong way and I just blow up on people. Like, so like I was walking around with my heart rate and blood pressure through the roof all the time, overheating all the time, my skin itching all the time, my eyes burning and itching, and I can't even close them all the way all the time. Like, it's like and my stomach also is on fire 24/7, like stomach pain, horrible all the time. Sorry, guys, kind of hanging out at the green light here. And that's just how I fucking lived, man. And I quelled the pain with debauchery, with just being a dumbass and hanging out with my friends. It's a wonder I didn't fucking relapse, honestly, because I was in so much physical pain and experiencing so much mental anguish, and I had a lot of time on my hands, and I held on. Through the hardest times of the past 11 years of my life, I've held on to my sobriety and my recovery and all that for dear life, I will say, for dear life, because in my heart of hearts, I know this well. If any, and like, it doesn't matter how fucking bad things get in my life. It doesn't matter, it doesn't matter how dark things get. I can always make them 700 times worse by adding drugs or alcohol into the mix. You know, anybody who's experienced something similar will relate, and anybody who's known somebody who's experienced substance abuse issues will know exactly what I'm talking about. It's a bummer, man. It's a bummer. I wish I could be a regular person. You might say, well, what is a regular person? Nobody's normal. And I'd say, yeah, fair enough. But also, I wish I was a regular person. Because you know what? Maybe it would benefit me, or would have benefited me in my times of desperate need and pain, to take CBD oil or something, or to smoke weed, or drink a little bit and take a load off. But no, I turned to internet poetry, trying to be a writer, having a blog, being kind of just being a fucking idiot. Was like, because I knew I was being self-destructive, you know what I mean? I knew that I was being chaotic. I was with my band of merry friends, and we were into something called, spelunking, urban exploration. We would go out late in the night and just be fucking idiots somewhere, someplace, didn't matter where, breathing in asbestos, cutting our fucking hands open on rusty metal and broken glass, and making zines out of computer paper with horrible poetry in them. It sounds like a romantic time. It sounds like it was a lot of fun, but it really wasn't good, because despite the art, despite the fun times, despite all of that, I had a horrible relationship with everybody around me. I was not good to my friends, and my friends weren't good to me. The whole band of us were just were just a bunch of, it was that classic punk rock thing where we just hated the same things. We hated the same people. So we hung out all the time. And that was, I don't know. I don't know what that was. But I don't, I just don't know. I don't even have any fucking idea why I was talking about this. But yeah, man, it was just like such a fucked up and wacky time. Oh yeah, I was talking about, and to now relate this back to what I was talking about earlier, the idea of being known, the idea of wanting to be known, the idea of feeling this craving, this energy, this ball of fire in your belly that is just telling you every day you wake up, you have something to say. I'm important. I have to speak. Everybody has to hear me. I'm funny. I'm cool. I'm attractive. I'm me. Listen to me. Because you don't really feel that unless you already have a little bit something wrong with you. If you have a little bit of something fucked up in your brain, you probably already think that. The man on the street, broken down by the violence of society and the inhospitality, the hellscape that is the urban landscape, screaming at you, no shirt on, throws poop at your car. That guy desperately wants to be seen too. What makes me different than him? I'm just kidding, obviously. What the fuck am I talking about? I can't compare myself to a guy in that position. It just would be too insensitive and foolish and dumb. But I'm driving with my knee. It's very safe. Now let that set the stage. It's kind of interesting because I've known many people throughout my life that caused massive physical setbacks. They caused massive physical problems for their health because of their mental illness. I won't get into details of that stuff because those aren't my stories and it's triggering and stressful to think about. But I feel like I'm a bit of the reverse. I'm a bit of the reverse where I was born into a world, a family, a setting where I had everything going for me. I was, regular working class family in a nice fucking normal place, whatever, just some fucking stupid town in Massachusetts. Some friends, grandparents, a fucking dog. The world at my fingertips. Perfectly slated and geared up to just grow up and have a regular life where nobody bothered me and I was normal and fine. But I don't know if this has anything to do with why I got into drugs and why I had so much fucked up behavioral shit and so many things going wrong for me. But what happened was I'll just cut to, what ended up happening was by the time I forget how old I was, maybe 10 or 11 or 12 or something, but right in there, let's say 11 years old, I got Lyme disease. And as a result of my Lyme disease, I contracted meningitis, which gave me these absolutely explosive, unmanageable migraines. I was like passing out all the time. Like I would just be somewhere in public, wherever, and just pass out and just fall asleep on the floor because I had such depleted energy. I was probably having panic attacks too. Because I would just freak the fuck out. And I would scream and probably like just hit myself and have a meltdown and yell at people. And my parents interpreted that and the schools interpreted that as me having like an emotional disturbance or something, or what do they call those? Like I had like a personality disorder, they said, but you know, really I had like a massive like infectious disease, two infectious diseases, and it got very bad. It got up to the point where I ended up developing Bell's palsy, where the left side of my face was paralyzed for a period of time. I'm very, very, very fortunate to have recovered from that specific symptom of my illness, but yeah, by that point my parents were like, "Oh, fuck, our child is dying." My mother tells the story where she got home from work one day and I was sitting at the table trying to eat a bowl of soup, but all of the soup was just dribbling out of my mouth and down my shirt, and she was looking at me and she's like, "Brian, look, what's wrong with your face?" And then my dad chimes in and says, "Oh, he said his face has been feeling weird all day." And my mom looks at me again and just goes, "Get in the car." She's driving me to the emergency room, like looking over at me, like freaking the fuck out. We get to the emergency room. She's yelling at the nurses to take me. Fucking, you need to take care of whatever. And I don't even really remember this, but apparently, God bless my mother, but she literally just thought that I was dying. She thought that because she's a nurse, so she has a lot of medical know-how. So she thought that my brain was like collapsing or failing, or that I would have a blood clot and just keel over and die at any moment. So she was rushing me to the hospital. And fortunately, that wasn't true. I just had meningitis and Lyme disease. They did a spinal tap on me, or what do you call it? A lumbar puncture, which is where they do a. It's like doing a biopsy or drawing blood, but it's where they uh, extract a bit of spinal fluid from your back, which is very gruesome to think about. The type of thing that just makes you want to throw up and just squirm because it sounds so painful. And oh man, it makes me sad for my younger self. Because you think about stuff like this, these hard traumatic things from your past or from when you were a kid, and you imagine yourself as the adult you are experiencing them, as if that is an accurate way to remember what happened to you. But I've never gotten a lumbar puncture, really, but 11-year-old me did. I didn't get it as the adult that I am. A child got that medical procedure, and that child was keeled over, squeezing my mother's arms or hands or whatever in unrelenting, agonizing fucking pain, dude. Oh God, I can still fucking imagine it. But I was just screaming and screaming. And they told me before they did it. I don't know if they said this or I just like thought this. I was under the impression that if I flinched or I moved or if something went wrong, then the needle would snap off in my back and I would be paralyzed for the rest of my life. And so not only was I filled with agonizing, brutal pain, I was also filled with agonizing, brutal fear and anxiety. And I went through a number of treatments as after this. After that lumbar puncture, they determined that I had Lyme disease and that the Lyme disease had gotten into my spine or something, and that made I don't know, that caused meningitis in my brain. I can't explain the science of it all, obviously, because I'm just some fucking guy. I don't know fucking shit about science or medicine or whatever the fuck, but that was my situation. So they gave me what's called a PICC line, which is this awful grisly fucking tube that you have to put in, that the doctor puts in you, and it's like a long ass. It's probably like 3 feet long. It's like a tube that goes into your vein, and they fucking fish it through your vein like it's a motherfucking electrical wire, and it goes all the way to your heart. Ugh, Jesus Christ, I want to throw up talking about this. Ugh. And and they had to put medicine in it every single day. And it wasn't just like a whoop whoop, hit it with a shot and I'm good to go fuck around. It was a giant syringe filled with like this fucking freaky looking brown medicine, and it took over an hour to complete the treatment, or what, I don't know what you the medicine procedure, or what, to dose me took like an hour. And it was this little machine that would go or whatever the fuck while the medicine slowly pumped into my fucking veins, dude. And and keep in mind, my friends, I was 11 or 12 while this was all taking place. And I was 11 or 12 in the year, let's see, what year was it? Like 2006 or 7. There were no, I didn't have an iPhone. There was no fucking TikTok to watch. I suppose I could have been playing Modern Warfare 2, yelling racial obscenities at other gamers. Not that I ever did that. That wasn't my vibe. But I just had to fucking lay there. I didn't get to distract myself. This was no time to make art. I couldn't go fucking skateboard. They told me I couldn't skateboard for the entire time the tube was in my arm. They said, well, you have this PICC line and you're on this medicine, no physical activity. No fucking exercising, no skating, no fucking running, no throwing a motherfucking football. I just had to be the fucking weird ass kid with a bloody fucking tube in my arm that would bleed if I moved around too much, getting creepy brown medicine pumped into it every fucking day. God, I fucking hated my life, dude. That was hell back then. And it was embarrassing too. You don't want anybody to know that you have that. And you got to think 11, 12 years old or whatever. That's like right around the time you want to start talking to girls and stuff. So it's like, trust me, man, like I wasn't like making out with girls with a bloody fucking tube in my arm. So that was embarrassing. But yes, that was fucking ass, bro. And it ended up getting kind of cleared up by the end of that summer, maybe 4 or 5 months later after the initial diagnosis, they got me to some better place or something, and then that was over. But then, by the time I was in 7th grade, that shit fully came back, and I was having horrible neurological and psychological symptoms, and nobody knew what was going on again, where I think I was just having constant panic attacks where I would just feel crippling panic and stress, and it would come out of me as just rage and panic. And once again, everybody just thought I had some type of mood disorder or mental illness. So I didn't get any medical treatment or anything like that. And I don't know what the state of psychology and talk therapy was at the time, but they basically just put me in a room with some fucking asshole life coach guy that was like, the primary emotions are love and fear. Whenever you're mad, just try to remember that you're not feeling rage, you're feeling fear. And it's just like, oh my God, shut the fuck up, you piece of shit. Love and fear, shut the fuck up, life coach, bitch. That sucked, man. Yeah, that sucked. But what that did to me, I think, what happened, what that caused for me was I don't know what it did, but I think it must have gave me brain damage or something. I don't know, because they say if you look it up or you talk to some wacky alternative medicine person, they'll tell you you get Lyme disease, you're done. Like Lyme disease just totally fucks you and you're dead forever, or you're chronically ill for the rest of your life. And maybe that's true. I really have no idea, because after that flare up, by the time I was in 7th grade and my brain was melting and I didn't have any sentient thoughts for an entire year, the only thing that I knew how to do, I just knew I was feeling this intense, horrible fucking panic and rage all the time. right? And it's kind of a bummer, but the only thing I had going for me was I would just smoke weed every single day. And you might be saying, Brian, you were in 7th grade and you smoked weed every single day? What the fuck? What the fuck was going on? And I would say, I don't know. I have no clue what was going on, but I was smoking weed every day to self-medicate. And maybe it worked, I don't fucking know, but it was the only thing that I could do. Oh, I accidentally beeped. That scared me. It was the only thing that I could do. It was the only thing that I had power over. I couldn't take myself to the doctor. I couldn't go to counseling in any meaningful way. The internet was in kind of a primitive place, and I didn't have a personal computer. I was in 7th grade. And, this is back in the day before, iPad babies and all that. I was a baby before iPad babies, if you youngins can believe that. So yeah, I was just basically raw dogging this fucking horrible disease and just getting high every day to try to take the fucking pain and misery out of my life. And it didn't work at all. It just meant that I was high as fuck 24/7 and experiencing constant pain and misery. That's it's kind of how self-medicating works. If you're not familiar, if you're ever in a position where you feel like you might have to self-medicate, that's probably what you're in for, is just being high as fuck while being in chronic horrible pain. And you might say, you know what? I'd rather be experiencing pain and misery high as shit. You know. But guess what? I can tell you now. Uh, all of this was unrelated to my Graves' disease. The Graves' disease and thyroid eye disease was just another round of fucking chronic illness. Like, that was round 2, dude. Like, it wasn't my first rodeo when I had gotten that disease. And you want to hear something funny, is that the week or two before I was diagnosed with Graves' disease, I knew, I remember, smoked a cigarette in the bathroom at school, and I remember just thinking to myself, I have a fucking disease. I have another disease. And I just knew that. I knew that. Like, I was like, there's something wrong with me and I don't know what it is, but I'm experiencing some types of haunted, of fucked up, weird symptoms. And the only way I could describe them is it's like if your biological form, like you as a like it's like your body is haunted. It's a weird thing to say, but chronically ill people listening will know what I mean. It's like your body being haunted by a science demon, I guess. Why did this turn into the tales of woe in my life video anyway? But I don't know. It's like I don't identify. I could explain this a little more, but I really don't identify as a chronically ill person. And that's for good reason. And I don't identify as a chronically ill person because I did identify as a chronically ill person for years. When I would meet people, I would tell them about my chronic illness. I would like go on a date with a girl and talk about chronic illness. Like, dude, not sexy, not fun, weird. I get, so I'm kind of at a point in my life for many years now where I don't really vibe. I have nothing against talking openly about mental illness. I mean, about chronic illness. I'm literally doing it right now. But in my regular social life, in my life as a civilian, as one might say, I'm just not talking about it. I'm just not talking about it to the regular person. It's nobody's fucking business. It doesn't really like stimulate people or get people excited to fucking talk and hang out with me. It just turns me into a billboard of misery. I'm like a NASCAR for trauma events. Fuck that, man. I want to just be a regular person. That's another thing I started doing a few years ago is I stopped identifying as a person in recovery. I stopped identifying as somebody in sobriety. I started identifying as somebody that just doesn't do drugs. You don't ask somebody why they're a vegetarian. Well, maybe you ask someone why they're. You don't ask somebody why they don't eat fucking cheese. If somebody's lactose intolerant, you don't go, huh? What's up with that? Like it just like so when somebody offers me a beer at a party, it's not an invitation for me to tell them, oh no, thank you. Here's a story about trauma. It's just like, oh no, thanks, bro, and that's it. You just let silence befall, and it kind of puts the ball in their court because there's a social pressure for me as the refuser of an offer to throw out an explanation why I don't want this alcoholic beverage. But I take that power back by just not fucking saying anything, just not fucking explaining at all. Somebody says, "Hey, you want a beer?" I just say, "No, thank you." And then and it's a moment, there's like this little silent gap where I might be like, "Oh, I got to work tomorrow. Oh, I got to drive tonight," or "Oh, I don't do that." But I don't fill that gap. I just let it hang. And that person wonders, but then it would be weird for them to ask. So they don't, most of the time. Anywho. Way whoa. Uh, yeah, man. I don't know. It's like, here's the thing. Here's the thing. That doesn't make me, right? Like, I don't need to tell those stories to be liked. I don't need to talk about that shit for people to identify with me and who I am or whatever. And I don't even identify with that shit personally. But I will never be able to escape the fact that those things happen to me and that I live with the repercussions and reality of those events that my younger self experienced. Fuck it, it is what it is. It's what I went through, and I carry those memories with me. But I guess what I'm getting at is that I suspect I don't just carry the memories. I think that I carry the physiological memories of those. I think that I carry the real, evidence of those events in my brain and in my body. I like, you know, they say like, Phineas Gage was impaled by a railroad spike and he lived, but he was never the same. I've heard a lot of his stories is poisoned by myth and legend and tall tales, but to say the very least, his brain was shish kebabbed and it fucked his future up. And I kind of identify with Mr. Gage, old old boy Phineas there, where I kind of feel like, in a lesser sense, I'm fortunate enough that my brain was not stabbed through my skull by a giant piece of metal, but I was proverbially impaled in the brain by meningitis and by Lyme disease and by Graves' disease and by a number of other properly violent and traumatic things that I experienced that I won't go into. If I'm telling you all this, now imagine what those things might be. And it's just like, you know, now time travel up to little old me in 2015 wanting to be a poet or whatever the fuck stupid dumb thing I was trying to do with my time. Climbing around in abandoned buildings, blowing lines of asbestos and lead paint off of the ground with my dumb friends that hated me, dating a person that probably wanted to kill me in my sleep because they hated me so much and I hated them. We were so miserable. That's what I was going through. And I failed all of my college classes. I failed out, man. It was terrible. But yeah, I was just so. It's funny because I remember this time as the last time in my life that I was truly, completely fucking lost. Because I was only 19. At this point in my life, I see 19 as extremely young. At that time, I thought I was very old. I thought that I was a fully matured adult, obviously. 19-year-olds think that. And there may be somebody who's like, well, 19 isn't exactly young, but I'm 22, so I'm not that far removed from that. And I would say, well, that means you're still young as shit too. Whatever. I'm not here to dissect the psychology of aging and maturity. I'm just saying that during this said period of time when I was 19, I was a monkey brained dumbass with no prospects in life. Just some idiot trying to make art. I mean, poetry. And it went very badly. But it's funny because, like, most of these videos and pieces of content from that time period are erased, are gone, are things that will never be unearthed if I have anything to do with it. We're very ill thought out, you know, we're not very good. They didn't have really any appeal or taste to them. And I didn't understand how to do that. And funny enough, TikTok has taught me about taste of all things. Somebody like me who has staked their entire life on aesthetics and knowing about art and knowing about how to make something beautiful, about how to make a beautiful piece of art, I didn't understand appeal. I didn't understand how to make something good. Look at this shaky ass crazy murderer camera. I just didn't fucking get it. And hopping onto TikTok and I've probably made over 1,000 unique pieces of content on there. And I've had things get 10 views and I've had things get 5 million views. And all I can say through that and Boston Art Podcast, me and Theo's project, I feel like I have properly learned how to make something fucking good. And part of that, in terms of video content, means that something good's got to be long, man. Because the days of old, the days of the 4-minute video, the days of My Drunk Kitchen, the days of Joey Graceffa, the days of when Troye Sivan wasn't just a gay icon pop star, he was a YouTuber. Those days are long, long gone. It's over. It's over, man. It's all about 1 hour. It's all about 1 hour now. It's all about 2 hours. 3, 4, 5. You gotta just be a fucking crazy person. That's what the people want. You gotta give it to them. Never stop dancing. Never stop moving. Just keep acting. Yeah, man. I think I have brain damage. I don't know. It's funny, man. It's a crazy thing to behold. I've been in this game for a long time, and I haven't really accomplished that much. I've accomplished a lot. I've accomplished a lot with my art on a hyper local scale. You know, I've sold hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of paintings. I've been in countless shows, group shows. I've even had a substantial amount of solo shows as an artist, a few of them at very legitimate galleries. I feel very confident in my art making. It's something that no one on earth could ever take away from me. No matter how many people spit in my face or laugh at me or think that I suck, I know that I'm a good painter. And that's just something I get to hang my hat on. And you can suck a fucking dick if you don't think so. But in terms of recognition, of media, of content, of mass appeal, this is just something that I haven't unlocked. I'm a student of the future. I'm a student of the now. I'm going to keep fighting. I'm going to keep building. I'm going to keep trying to make shit. so that I can reach people. And the latest chapter in that event is going to be long format content that is just me, I guess. Because I love the podcast with Theo. We're going to keep doing that until the fucking wheels fall off. But that's not something we can do every single day. We also don't really have any intention of turning that into a video project. And audio demographics just aren't the same as video demographics. There's video people, video consumers that are just not interested in consuming audio format content. And the other way around, there's audio people that are just not going to sit there and experience extremely long format video. So here I am, man. I'm joining the fight. I'm throwing a dog in the ring with this psychotic, grainy nighttime video of me just blabbering on. Guys, I hope you're fucking proud of me. If you watch this shit, I hope you're fucking proud of me, because I just fucking talked with no cuts and no weird silences. Talked with no cuts and no weird silences for over 60 minutes. I'm not going to edit this at all. Maybe I'll try to fluff up the audio, or I don't know, add a fucking whatever, man. I feel good about this. I don't feel like I can stop now. It's time for me to go home, though, because I worked all day. I made a little bit of scratch, made a little bit of lunch money. I even, no, I didn't make any art earlier. Nevertheless, I'm going to go home, and I'm going to sleep. And I'm going to wake up tomorrow and maybe do the same thing. But I can say this. I made an hour-long video of me talking. And to the average person, that is very pointless. Why would that matter to anybody? But to me, a mental case and a student of debauchery, this is a massive accomplishment. I will leave it at that. To all 7 people that watched this, I love you. Thank you. See you next time. Bye-bye. Perfect timing, a red light, so I can shut this video off.